Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be taking a little dive into r/am I the butthole. So if you would like to judge some big old gaping buttholes with me today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay, first post, am I the butthole for asking my adoptive parents if they have a college fund for me like they have for my sister? I, 17M, was adopted as an infant. My parents were in their late 30s and had tried to have bio kids for years. It didn't happen for them for more than a decade, so they looked at infant adoption. My birth parents chose them to be my parents. My parents were present at my birth, and my adoptive mum held my birth mum's hand as I was born. Then I went home with my adoptive parents, and the rest was history. 3 years after they adopted me, my parents found out my adoptive mum was pregnant with my sister, 14F. I don't know if they treated me different after that, or if they were always a little less in love with me than some adoptive kids get, but I always felt that my sister was the clear favourite, and their real child. We see so many stories like this, and I've seen so many sort of like stories of people sharing it personally themselves on like YouTube and stuff and TikTok, where they'll be talking about I've always felt left out as the adoptive child. Like, don't adopt a kid if you're not going to treat them the same as you would a biological child. Simple as that. My parents adore her. They spoil her. She got all the cute nicknames like Little Sweetheart, Baby Star, to list a couple of them. They were also really obsessed with how much she looked like a perfect mix of the two of them. Mum's eye colour and nose, Dad's hair colour and round face, and other features. A few of my cousins used to rub it in real good that my parents had their real kid now, and if they could send me back, they would. My family knew they said it, but nobody ever seemed to care very much. I didn't get cuddles and kisses like my sister, didn't get the quality time with each of my parents like she did, didn't get crazy spoilt like her either. They didn't completely ignore me, and I did get gifts, but they spent less on me and bought less for me too. Maybe it was the fact that I'm a guy and she's a girl, I don't know. I told my parents a few times that I felt left out, and they didn't change anything or acknowledge it was true or not true. It was just like, oh, and then they moved on. My sister noticed the difference and she'd make fun of it, as I also see happening a lot in these stories. She used to say that she wished she had a real sibling and not a fake one. Or how our cousins were her real family and not me. Now, of course, I know there is a certain amount that we have to give the sister a little bit of leeway because, of course, she was basically being shown by her parents that this is okay to act. But also, I just kind of want to be like, what a horrible little child! At the same time. I feel you guys would know exactly what I mean by that and would probably understand. A year ago, I found out my parents had a huge college fund for my sister. They were talking to my aunt, mum's sister, about it and how they had invested from a few things and taken from their savings for it. They never mentioned having one for me, which stung, and I thought about it a lot. I got asked in school if I had money or would I get help from my parents for college, and I never knew what to say. I told them I didn't think so, and then financial aid was discussed. I reached out to my birth parents a few months ago too. My parents gave me their names and info that they had, and they don't want a relationship with me. My parents said they expected as much, but figured it wasn't their place to say. They didn't comfort me or anything, and my sister said that I had 4 parents who didn't want me, so I must be broken. Your sister's horrid, actually horrid. She's 14 now, she should know better. She's horrid. 2 weeks ago, my parents asked me to speak to my guidance counsellor about how busy they are and tell her that she should talk college stuff with me and not them. What is wrong with people? Oh my goodness. I figured that she wanted to find out about the money, and that's why she wanted me to talk to them. It got to me, and I asked them if they had a college fund for me like they have for my sister. They asked me how I knew about it and got mad at me for asking the question. I asked them why they'd make sure she has one, but not me, when I'll be going to college first. And they asked me why I was asking questions that are none of my business. It's your college fund, or not college fund. It is absolutely your business. What are they talking about? It's 17. I'm assuming this is in America because they're on about a college fund. Wouldn't you be leaving and going to college at 18? So wouldn't you need to know these things? What are they talking about? It made me feel like shit. And since that day, there's a whole lot of tension in the house, and my sister is rubbing it in that she gets a college fund and I don't. My parents never said either way, but not saying anything is basically an answer, right? Am I the butthole? No, you're not the butthole for wanting a little bit of clarity on whether you actually have a college fund or not. You're not the butthole for feeling put out because you have literally been basically adopted by this family and then pushed to the side. What a insult. These parents are shit. Your sister's vile. Your cousins and your other family are shit. Honestly, I feel so sorry for this poor OP. I just think, don't adopt a kid if you're not going to treat them like your own. That's the whole point of bloody adoption. What is wrong with people? So, down in the comments, Shapeshifter Plays says, not the butthole. It is 100% your business whether or not you have a college fund. And the fact that your parents are trying to tell you that it's not is frankly quite bizarre. Whether they do or don't could drastically impact your life. They chose to be your parents the moment that you were born. They don't get to just back out of important responsibilities that come with having a kid just because they had another one. And I'm so sorry that they're enabling the behaviour from your sister and cousins. And then the OP replies to that and says, it is weird, but I think it's another way for them to not outright reject me as their son, but to not answer the question either. So instead of saying yes or no, they say it's none of my business, which kind of felt worse. Yeah, literally, I think they know that they're being absolute piles of poo, and they don't want to admit either way, so they're just deflecting completely instead. What a waste of space they are. Next post, am I the butthole for telling my sister that she shouldn't have sex after she had a hysterectomy? I mean, medically, you're not supposed to after you've had an operation like that, are you? I thought that was the first thing they tell you. Anyway, let's get into it because it could be something completely different and I'm just getting ahead of myself. I, F, have been in a long-term relationship with my now fiancé, F, and will be getting married later this year. We are keeping it small so that it's cheaper and to make it a more intimate event. My sister is extremely Catholic and has been anti-LGBT before I came out. I have decided not to invite her since she doesn't believe our marriage will be a real marriage. For context, she's married, and although she's always wanted kids, she has had to get a hysterectomy for medical reasons. One of her religious arguments for being against LGBT and gay marriages is that they cannot produce life. She thinks marriage is between a man and a woman who can be joined in sex only when there is no contraception and their sex act can produce a baby. Since she has been so against my future marriage, I asked her if she still has sex with her husband. I love that. And it's so true though, because if she's basically going to say that OP and her future wife cannot be together because they cannot produce a baby, well, neither can her and her husband. And, obviously, I would never say that to someone who's having fertility issues any other time, okay? I feel like this is a good and very valid clapback, to be honest, because the sister's been extremely hypocritical with what she's saying. She was offended and said that it was not my business, but I pointed out that if she could not have a baby due to her hysterectomy, she should not be having sex. Am I the butthole for pointing out her double standards? Absolutely not. No. And again, I would never say that to someone who'd had a hysterectomy if, I would never say there's no point in you having sex because you've had a hysterectomy. No, because I absolutely don't believe that. It's the hypocrisy of her saying you can't have sex with your wife because you can't produce a baby and your marriage is illegitimate. Well, then in that sense, on your logic, so is your marriage, OP's sister, Anyway, down in the comments, VDAV Will says, not the butthole. If she can say such things to you, she can take them. And then Hogginley? Technically, by her own logic, she shouldn't even be married. Guess she should release her husband back into the wild for mating season. And then Seaworthiness Jew 8650 says, but she is not allowed to divorce either. Extramarital sex is also not allowed. It is the end for both of them according to her logic. Next post, am I the butthole for telling my husband that I am going back on our agreement and I don't care if he cries about it? My husband and I, both 32, have been together since we were 19. Our entire relationship feels like it just blew up in my face. Basically, I can't tell if I'm overreacting. So, we both wanted one child, and we have planned this for years. We wanted everything perfect first. The home, the careers, the savings, the investment, the nest egg, etc, etc, etc. Because we both knew from very early on that once we had a baby, I would be staying home full time and raising our child. His brother's life was unfortunately cut short by a daycare worker, oh my goodness, when he was just 5 months old back in 2017. So, daycare wasn't an option, basically, and we need to make sure our ducks were in a row so I could stay home and be a full-time parent. 2 years ago, we were sitting on $500,000 in investments, flipping heck, a few nest eggs in different types of savings and bonds accounts. We bought the house, we even bought a damn boat. Everything we planned fell into place. Finally, and we started trying for a baby. We now have a perfect 4-week-old daughter. I've been out of work since I was 5 months pregnant due to placenta abruption, but otherwise, everything went fine. She's perfectly healthy, was a good weight, and I bounced back from the delivery fairly quickly because of how much of a support system my husband was. He did more than his fair share while still working full time, which is partially why I cannot tell if I'm being dramatic or not, or if this is hormones or PPD or whatever. Like, I am legitimately livid. So basically, earlier this afternoon, I get a call from DHHS to go over our health insurance options and whether or not the baby is eligible for state insurance based off our income. I had already given DHHS all of our info, social security numbers, date of birth, etc, etc. When they called yesterday and was just waiting for all our info and assets to be pulled. Anyways, she calls and says we aren't eligible because my husband makes too much money and that we will need to add her to our private insurance. Absolutely no problem at all. I kind of figured that anyways, but then she offhandedly mentions that my husband is making $10,920 monthly gross and that the cutoff for state insurance is $7,830 monthly gross. What on earth does your husband do for a job? Well, here's the issue. For months, my husband has been telling me that he only makes $6,000 a month after taxes. So I get off the phone and I log into my husband's computer and into his banking, and sure enough, his monthly take-home is bordering around $8,500. He's transferring everything over $6,000 into an account I didn't even know existed. So I call him out on it, and he breaks down and tells me that he just wanted something that was only his. Please keep in mind that all of my money has always gone into our joint account and that he uses on a daily basis. So he is hiding money from me so he can have his own money while plugging away at mine. I think it's fine to have something that is yours and only yours, but yeah. If then the OP has been expected to put all their money in, that's not very nice, is it? Over $45,000 he has sitting in that account, while telling me last week that we couldn't have steak for dinner because spending $38 on 2 steaks was a waste of money. Imagine being this DHHS worker. Is that like Department of Health something or other, I imagine? I don't know. I don't live there. But imagine being that person and dropping someone's husband in it by accident, being like, oh yeah, because they make this much a month. And you're like, what, do they? I'd be like, oh no, I've started a big fight. Whoopsie. So I told him I am putting the baby in daycare and going back to work because obviously I need to safeguard myself if he is hiding away money. Something feels off about it. I don't know. He instantly started crying, see above daycare trauma, but I truly just don't trust him financially anymore. I no longer feel secure here. I said I changed my mind and I don't care if he cries about it. Am I the butthole? No, not at all. Not at all. Because if everything's been really, really good, you've never discussed having your own nest eggs, and he's been hiding it from you and telling he's earning this and he's not getting that, that is a lot of money to hide away. And I would also be like, oh, is he up to something? Is he like saving to get lawyers to try and run off with the kid when the kid's old enough for him to not have to, do all the icky baby stuff? Like, is that what's going on here? I would be concerned myself, is what I'm trying to say. I do believe that people should have their own money, but keeping it secret like that when there has never been any issues in the relationship and they've literally organised everything to a T before deciding to start a family, something is a little off there. So, down in the comments, the roadkill Rapunzel says not the butthole. He doesn't get to have a secret financial security setup in case you split up while preventing you from doing the same. He can either dump that 45k into a shared account and give you access to make sure that it doesn't happen again, or he gets to realise that he is the reason the baby is in daycare. And then TopBit85 says, yeah, but who knows what else he's hiding? Once trust is gone, it's hard to move forward. It really, really is. And then Friedrichen something, yep, got that perfectly. You can't put the yolk back into a cracked egg. That's what trust is like. That is literally what trust is like. Once it's gone, it's gone. And getting it back, I don't feel like it ever fully comes back. There's always going to be that little like nipping at the back of your head where it's like, So I feel uncomfortable. Like, I don't feel like I can truly put all my trust into you anymore. I imagine that there's some ways you can get it back with a good bit of therapy or whatever, but I'm sure it's very hard. I've never been able to get trust back with someone once it's been broken. Am I the butthole for never disclosing to my grandchildren's father how much I plan to give my grandchildren towards their futures? My daughter died when my 2 grandchildren were young. My son-in-law remarried and created a blended family of his, hers, theirs. My husband and I knew our daughter had left some money in a trust fund for our grandchildren's future, but she was young when she died and didn't have a lot to leave them, so we decided to make sure they would receive a very comfortable amount from us once they reached 18. This was to help with college or pay for a house or to allow them the ability to train for their dream careers. We never told our son-in-law. This was done so we would not be asked to split the money between the children, and so our grandchildren would not be prioritised less by their father or his wife. This money was not supposed to act as child support or money for the household. It's for my grandchildren. Our oldest grandchild graduated 2 years ago, and we gave her access to the money, and she never told her dad. Our youngest grandchild graduated this year and was quick to set up a high-interest savings account, and he made the choice to skip college to pursue a different path towards his career. This led to a conversation where my son-in-law learned about his savings. My son-in-law's wife was furious with my husband and myself for not disclosing the money to them years before. My son-in-law was hurt that we chose to do this instead of giving something to all of the children. He said that us not telling him added to his hurt because he had hoped that we would want all the children to have the same start in their adult lives. But that is not the OP's responsibility. The OP wanted to make sure they basically had something from their mum, and because it wasn't a lot, they helped to build on that. There's nothing wrong with that. He felt like we should have told him, so he and his wife could plan accordingly. My youngest grandchild moved in with us after the trouble started, and both my grandchildren have discussed the issue with their dad several times, but he still insists my husband and I should have told him. Am I the butthole? No. You don't have to tell him what money you yourself want to leave to your grandchildren when they are adults, when they're 18, legally adults, You don't need to tell them, and I completely understand why you didn't tell them, because they fully expected you to basically be funding kids that have nothing to do with you. So no, that money was from their mum. You helped build on it because there wasn't much there. End of story. The dad needs to shut up. If he wanted all that stuff for his kids after that and his wife's kids, he should have funded it. So no, not the butthole. So, down in the comments, VDAV Will says, not the butthole. It's plain to see that your original plan was wise. You'd have been having to deal with this endless rude entitlement the entire time. And then Boggers111 says, yep, his reaction was the exact reason OP was right doing it the way they did. Precisely. I'm very glad they had the foresight, because quite often, when I have seen stories similar to this before, the people who were doing the savings did not have the foresight to not say anything. And it gets very messy very early on. At least this way, he wasn't able to stick his oar in before the kids actually had the money in their accounts. The kids were able to get the money, and by that point, they're old enough to decide what to do with it. Okay, last post for the day. Am I overreacting for not cancelling my vacation and reporting a co-worker for harassment? This is a throwaway, so I'll say goodbye for now. Thank you all for support. I'll come back and update when I have one. Edit 2, a lot of questions about my vacation time, lol. Okay. During COVID, my company allowed us all to roll over all paid time off from 2020 to 2022 because of the no travel stuff happening. In 2023, they moved the bar from 150 hours, 4-ish weeks, up to 250 hours, 6-ish weeks rollover, because a lot of people complained about losing a lot of time when they didn't travel. Surely that's not feasible, though, for a company to have people having that much time off in a year. I don't know, though. You were not required to bank your time. Some people took theirs and travelled. We took the pandemic seriously and did not travel at all in 2020 to mid-2021. And then we stayed home most of the first half of 2022 as well, and started travelling again in October of 2022. So I banked my 250, and because I'm still accruing, I have a lot of hours built up. We do snow activities that are free in the winter, so we barely travel, and we don't start travelling until May of each year, and by that time I've accrued more time. Hope this helps, lol. So, at my job, you can only roll over 250 vacation hours, so come December 31st, if you have over 250 hours, you lose them. They don't pay it out. Every year, my husband and I take several longish 10 to 11 day scheduled vacations, visiting a relative in Florida, family reunion wherever it's been hosted, anniversary trip each fall, etc. I always end up having over 250 hours even though we take those trips. I usually take between the 15th to 18th of December through the 5th to 6th of Jan off. I've been doing this for 9 years and it's approved. We hired Hayley in October. She has made it clear that her son is her life. That's well and fine. I don't care one way or another. It's really throwing me off how they keep saying about the vacation time in hours, because in the UK we always add it up in days. It's never like, oh, you have so many hours. It's like you have so many like holiday days. So it's like really throwing me off because it's like 250, because obviously in my head I'm thinking days, not hours. Anyway, Hayley came to my desk Monday and asked me if I would reconsider my time off in December. When I asked why, she said that she had requested some time off to travel with her son for the holidays to see her family, but it was denied because I'm off. I just said, no sorry, and turned back around. That afternoon, Hayley sent me an email with an itemised timeline of all the time off I had taken this year. Our team has a shared calendar, so we can know when the others are out of office, and asked to please reconsider and CC'd our boss. I'll be honest, this severely pissed me off. I don't butt into anyone else's business ever. I don't care if I see your ass parked on the 50-yard line at the Eagles game the same day you call in sick. Go Birds. As long as I'm not having to do your work. I do not care. I emailed back immediately saying that I don't appreciate her combing through my vacation time and that my answer was still no, and that I did not want to discuss the matter further. Yesterday morning, I was called into a meeting with my boss Lisa and Hayley. Lisa jumped right in saying that she saw Hayley's email and my response and Hayley wanted to meet. I told Hayley and Lisa both I will not be cancelling my vacation. Hayley starts raising a voice about how my child-free travelling should take a backseat to working class mothers and their kids. She claimed that I hate kids from my remarks, what? In the workplace, and she felt like I was retaliating for the cause. Okay, right, so in the beginning there, I would have been like, it's fine if Hayley wants to ask the question of, hey, would it be okay if I had that time off instead of you? would you mind swapping? And, OP could then either say yes or no. If it was me and I took that same time off every year, I might even be tempted to go, do you know what? I'll miss it this year and give someone else the chance to have the time off. However, when Hayley then starts CCing in the boss, combing through any other time she's had off, telling her that she hates kids and that people who are child-free basically don't deserve to take time off when they want to. Yeah, that's when you've lost me, Hayley, completely. Both Lisa and I were shocked at the accusation. I am child-free by choice. My husband and I have lots of nieces and nephews, as well as godchildren, and we are happy. We do not hate kids. Lisa knows this as well. We have worked together in total for about 15 years. I told Hayley that she's making a false accusation and that this is now a HR matter. I got up and left the meeting, even though Lisa asked me to stay. About an hour and a half later, I got another email from Hayley, but she was informing me she was asking Lisa to make the call to revoke my paid time off and be fair to others on the team. Then I overheard her telling a team member that I'm not letting her take time off because I hate kids and I'm part of the hateful child-free community. This was the last straw for me. I attached both of her emails and wrote an email to HR about her harassing and slandering me. I gave the name of the co-worker she was talking to and the conversation context as well. I hit send and forwarded it to my boss afterwards so she knew what was going on. About an hour ago, I found out Hayley has a meeting with HR on Friday and she will more than likely be fired. The co-worker she complained to told me that he felt I overreacted and that she was just venting about finding childcare for the holidays because of work, and I should have sat down to talk about it more. A friend who is also a colleague who told me about the meeting said she thought I let my anger get the best of me, and now Hayley may lose a job when she's just a stressed out and overly tired mother having a bad day. I will admit I used the buzzword of harassment and slander to get my point across, but it had been 2 days of an asked and answered conversation and I was done with it. So am I the butthole for reporting her over this incident? I mean, yeah, you could have easily let it go, but at the end of the day, I do feel like when it gets to the point that Hayley's kind of harassing you a little bit, and she is, because you've given her an answer, you've said no, whether that be the right or wrong answer doesn't really matter in the context of what we're discussing now. You've said no, she's then thought, I'm going to keep emailing you, I'm then going to go try and go above your head and I'm going to tell you I'm doing it, I'm then going to slag you off to people in the office saying you're a child-hating weirdo, and you don't want me to have time off because you hate kids and you're part of the what was it again, hateful child-free community. I mean, come on now, she was bringing it on herself at that point. Like, you can't be doing that kind of stuff at work just because you haven't got your own way. I understand it's frustrating when you can't get time off that you want to have off, but you can't do that. P.S. I am not the only one off. We are a team of 5 people and 2 other co-workers are off during the time that she wants, but they have children. And the remarks, she asked me when she started why I don't want kids and I said I like coming home to a clean and quiet house. That's the extent of the remarks, which is absolutely fine because yeah, kids are not quiet and they are not clean. So if you're not someone who can deal with that, absolutely, yeah, don't have kids, like, understandable. Edit. I am in the US, Midwest, and my company is huge on work-life balance due to burnout in our field. You're eligible to use your paid time off after 30 days and it accrues fast. After looking, Hayley is eligible for 52 hours of paid time off to date. And I mean, yeah, I can't stand, and by the way, I am a parent, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm sure you all know that now though. I am a parent and I can't stand people like that who go, I have a kid so you've got to let me have the time off when I want it. No, it's first come, first serve, mate. If you didn't get your request in early enough, tough titties. Like, no, that's not how it works. I used to find that people would do that a lot when I worked in like care and stuff. They'd try and get the time off and use the excuse of, I have kids, so I should be off at Christmas. No, it should be fair. And either the company takes over, which is what my company did, and makes it so it's 1 year, these people will have it off, the next year these people will have it off, or you do it on a first come first serve basis and everyone gets told to put up and shut up because if you didn't get in early enough, tough. And that should be how it works. So down in the comments, Odd End 1408 says, not the butthole. That is not venting. That is creating a hostile work environment. Exactly. She only started in October. How much time does she think she's entitled to? A lot of companies don't even allow paid time off usage in the first 90 days. Tell the co-worker that they could have volunteered to cover for the new person. And then Befuddled Polydactyl says, and having only started in October, perhaps she should have been working as opposed to playing PI with the OP's calendar and emailing and chatting about her own woe is me circumstances on December 1st. Okay, so I think that's all we've got time for today. If you made it all the way to the end with me, then I appreciate you very, very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, comment something, tell me what you thought about the stories today. Did you think different from me? Did you agree with me? Let me know. And don't forget to turn the notifications on as well, because that is your initiation into the Coven of Void. Welcome, whatever it is you're doing for the day. I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye!